The original Darth Vader passed away today, guys. David Prowse. I cast him as my supervillain. Let me show you a clip of that, and then I'll tell you the story. And this is the poster for RAVEDACTYL that features David Prowse as Sunder, the villain. Let me zoom in and just show you guys real quick here so you could see him. And this is the short film that I directed him in based on my upcoming comic book that won the New York International Independent Film and Video Festival for Best Action Short, which was just terrific, ITN distribution there. And you can see Dave on the right there. Let me zoom in on him here for you. He looks so cool, and he was the first celebrity to really believe in my work. You could also see Donald Faison from Scrubs in it, as well as Coolio. I'll release that one day. And there you see Dave as Sunder, my supervillain in my comic book RAVEDACTYL, coming out soon. And we won the award right here for New York International Independent Film and Video Festival. And I miss Dave. He was a really nice, wonderful, classy guy. I have so much great footage of him too from that short film I directed, which I'll release eventually. I mean, man, I didn't know what I was doing back then, so it's kind of a mess, but you know, I'll put a little footage up just so you can see a little clip of some of that stuff. And it's a great story because I kept a promise to him. By the way, he liked to be called Dave, not David. But I guess maybe his stage name, everybody puts David. But my father took me to meet him when I must have been somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. And at a little toy show convention. It's very small, but he was there and discussing how upset he was that he didn't get to show his face in Star Wars, that it was covered and his voice was replaced, and he was really upset about it, and he was talking about it way back then. And I made him a little promise as a little boy, and I said, when I grow up, I'll cast you in one of my comic books as a supervillain, and you could show your face then. And he was like, that's nice, little boy, and he pats me on the head. And fast forward a few decades, I saw him at the Big Apple Comic Convention all those years later. And I had just been hired by Todd McFarlane to draw Spawn for Image Comics, issue number 30, the double-page spread. And there's a video of Todd McFarlane and I talking about the first time that Todd hired me and my first paycheck in comic books. It was nice. So that was a real dream come true. So Todd and I made a video on that, Todd McFarlane and I. He's publisher of The Walking Dead, Image Comics, etc. But at that time, Dave had come to New York to do a signing. And, you know, I saw him there and the line was enormous. Like, I love the fact that, you know, the fans respected and loved him as the original Darth Vader in Star Wars. So I remember I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to him. So I kind of like slip up quickly because I was signing my little artwork in on my art table there for the stuff I did with Spawn and some other stuff. And I shot up to the table and I was like, hey Dave, I was like, listen, could you, he's like, no autographs, please. It's okay. No. You know, I can't discuss any business or anything like that. And I was like, oh man, I can't talk. And he's busy just signing the autographs for the people who are online and, you know, and paid for the stuff and everything like that. So I was like, how am I going to get this guy's attention? Because the line is like a mile long and I have to run back to my table at the convention that I was appearing at, right? Which was like the other side of the room. So I just literally grabbed my artwork and I flung it on his table when he was doing a signing. And, you know, he was like, what is this? And he looks at this, and I said, I want to cast you as my lead supervillain. I didn't even have time to remind him of the original story. And, you know, and he was like, would I be the lead supervillain, he says to me. And I was like, yes, you would. You know? He said, would I have a huge cloak? I said, the biggest cloak ever. He said, tell me about my character. This is right in the middle of the signing at the Big Apple Convention, which was held at the St. Paul's Apostles Church originally. I remember it. And I had to think of this on the spot. I had no story. Like I had nothing at all prepared to tell him. all I had was my RAVEDACTYL character, and I have his story, but not the supervillain story. So I was like, holy cow. So I was like, you're the lead villain for a genetically altered, human genetic experiment that's gone awry, and you're going to try to take over the world. And he's like, I like it. He's like, take my information down, which he gave me. And he said he's going back to the UK, where he lived in England. And basically he told me that I should get in touch with him when I'm ready. So fast forward, a little bit of time later, I got this new Canon, camera and everything, and I finally wrote an actual script for him and a story for him, to fight this guy, RAVEDACTYL, over here. And, I called him up and we spoke long distance, and he flew in, God bless him, to film, what you see over here in that clip that I just showed you before, to portray the role of SUNDER, the evil dictator bent on world domination. And again, Jesus, man, I just did this stuff, without, being where I am today. I didn't know exactly everything I was doing. I was just going for it, So I did it though, and I got him on board, and I directed the film, and we shot all his scenes, and I had Wendy, who was one of the costumers over at Ruby's Costumes, who did Star Wars, so she did some of that stuff, and she made this beautiful long cloak, as you see here, based on my design artwork that I gave her. It was just a huge, fantastic flowing cloak and cape. My parents were all excited that Darth Vader's in my house, and and getting ready to film this terrific thing. So yeah, we shot it, and then I submitted it, and we won the New York International Independent Film and Video Festival, which is ITN distribution. They just did a film with Jean-Claude Van Damme, I think, actually a year and a half ago or so. So Stuart Allison, I think the guy's name is. But anyway, it was such a thrill to be able to win the award. I had no idea. So that was like a huge, huge, huge thrill. And that's how this all started. That was my start, getting into that whole genre of entertainment and celebrities. That's the award, that we won over there, which was really exciting. Then I went on to win the HBO award for the HBO sponsored UAS award, which was just a thrill. And that was the animation for RAVEDACTYL and Justice over there, my other characters. But the great thing is that when I got Dave, I fulfilled that promise to let him show his face as the supervillain and his voice. No replacing the voice, no covering it over with a mask for the live action. Show his face, and that's what I did. And it was a great feeling to remember as a little baby promising him that, and then fulfilling it so many decades later. And now we got signed by Amazon's Comixology digital distribution for Marvel and DC Comics, and now my company Beyond Comics. And in it, I'll show you here, is my new comic book co-created by writer Brandon Wilson, Gekido. So I drew this, and then in it you can see a little preview here of Dave Prowse as SUNDER over there. And here he is right there. So I'm glad I was able to kind of keep that promise and get him in there. And Dave did actually see, I just want to show this to you here. That's the life-size version of the new costume. But Dave did see it. He saw the drawing I did of him as SUNDER in one of my first comics, Justice, and as well as in Gekido here, as well as seeing the actual footage. I met up with him when he came back to New York at the Wizard World Convention and showed him the actual live-action footage that you see over here. And he was very pleased with it, but he wanted to see more. And one of the things that just frustrates the hell out of me is, being an independent comic book artist and writer and creator, we don't have the giant staff and budgets, that Marvel and DC have. We're doing all this stuff out of the love of comics and ourselves, right? So we're doing this stuff, out of pocket with investors and trying to do the best we can and put everything together and save up. And it just takes forever to do it when you're on your own. You don't have the 10,000 employees that Marvel has. It's just a few guys in a closet trying to make some stuff happen, So I'm frustrated that I didn't get the chance to put out the RAVEDACTYL full comic book and movie. The script is finished. I'm editing it, but the whole thing it's too long. It's like 240 pages, so I have to edit it down. But I would have wanted to see Dave in that, and I would have wanted to, cast him officially in a big budget version, which I hope to give him some kind of acknowledgement somehow, if that ever happens one day. The script is really tight. It's a good script. I've learned a lot from my horrendous mistakes and naivete when I was a kid in school starting out, so I kind of understand stuff now. Studied with Sid Field's work. If you guys know him, he was the teacher of James Cameron, how to write screenplays. I mean, it's like the standard. You guys, if you want to write screenplays, read his book. It's incredible. And also How Not to Write a Screenplay. Those are also great books to read. But anyway, Dave, I love you, man. You will be missed. You are truly an inspiration and a wonderful guy. You trained Christopher Reeve. That's what he did. He trained Christopher Reeve and made him all strong and body built up, for those movies as Superman back in the day. And just for those of you who didn't know. And he also was in Clockwork Orange. If you guys haven't seen that, Dave's in that as well. He plays like a Frankenstein-esque type character. And then, of course, you guys know he was in the first original Star Wars as Darth Vader. Everybody knows Dave from that. And oh man, he was so cool. One quick story too. It was so classy because he came over and he was like, "It's tea time," he said, right? So my mom's like, "Oh, I'll get you some tea." And again, like I was a kid in school, like when he came over and we shot this stuff. So that was the first time, And my mom runs out and she gets, tea, and she gives him tea, right? And he's very proper, pinky out, holding the cup, is very, very proper. He's like, and he just kind of looks like you could see the disappointment. Like apparently, like tea time is a big deal in England, and I guess we didn't know how to make the proper tea time or something. But it was his face. This doesn't taste like tea in England, you know what I mean? This kind of, this thing, But his lines, extraordinary, and all these different words that he says in the trailer and stuff like that, and saying the word prophesize and all this. I mean, I don't want to blow all this stuff. Eventually, I'll re-edit it and make it look a little better and release it and stuff like that, But yeah, it was a dream come true to work with him, and I'm so glad that, he believed in me, and we got to work together. And now some of you guys might know Kari Tagawa, the star of The Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime, is playing my other supervillain, Lord Shinryu. I'll show you real quick. As you can see right over here, so I cast him as this character and then drew him in the comic. And there's Dave, who makes a little cameo in this comic, but eventually we'll put out RAVEDACTYL so you can see the full story and everything like that. And over here you could actually see the drawing I did of Dave Prowse way back when, in my first Comic Justice, which needs a lot of work. But hey, it was the first drawing attempt there that I did. You can see the RAVEDACTYL hand in there, and you can see Dave and how he looked. So I'll be putting out the comic book eventually, and then you'll see the whole story with this artwork and everything coming soon. So Dave, to you and your lovely family, I love you. I miss you, and thank you for believing in me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I could continue to honor your memory by putting out better work and doing better. So I'll do my best, and as they say in comics, to be continued. Thanks, guys.